I just had a really intense download. I've had vertigo for the last 24 hours. It's been quite intense, and I kind of meditated to go within to see where it was coming from and ask the question. There's been a little bit of upheaval for me, and that's part of that vertigo, just not feeling stable. But it's also the transition time. It's between solstices, and I've been going full speed ahead for the last 6 months, and basically it was also the universe just saying, stop and lie down. So I did that, but I had a bath, and the insights that I got were really amazing about. I went underneath the simulation and looked at everything from below, and I saw how if you want to manifest in the simulation, you have to come it from above, as in yang. So you need to do the manifestation of the light energy of the breath, and you have to come into the yin, to the female below, into matter, into dark matter, and work above and below at the same time. As above, so below. It was just very, very beautiful. It's about actually getting into the mechanics of matter so that you can manifest what you want. I had this vision of a chalice, and I thought my body and my blood, and I had this very beautiful understanding of how the divine masculine and the divine feminine work together in this beautiful duality that is everything in this world. And how it is the female, the yin, provides the body, the dark matter, the meat, the platform. It provides the surface, the physical surface, the carbon reality, and the divine masculine provides the breath and the seed. And it was just this very beautiful spiritual moment. Just had the most beautiful healing download. My signal has been scrambled for the last 15 days or so. I've had so much static. I've been having beautiful experiences, but not being able to exit really this room, this bath. I've been getting insights, but not outsights. And today I did another beautiful session with Lakshmi, this guy, Adam. His elixirs are just amazing. This is his Lakshmi goddess. I've got 7 of them. Essences, very, very beautiful. And I did 5 drops, and I just felt this beautiful goddess presence, just healing Lakshmi. Oh, just so gorgeous. I languished in that for a while, and then I needed to come out of it because dinner's ready. I'm going to go and eat now. And as I got out of the bath, I said, thank you for that. I mean, I know I always expect to get some kind of insight and outsight in the bath, and tonight, it was just a healing. And she says, oh, here you go. Here's something for you. And she gave me Psyche and Soul and Spirit. Psyche being the yin and Soul Spirit being the yang. And just gave me a whole download into what that means, being in your body and out of your body. And it's just gorgeous. I'll be writing more about that later. But thank you for this, Lakshmi. Just had the most beautiful healing download. My signal has been scrambled for the last 15 days or so. I've had so much static. I've been having beautiful experiences, but not being able to exit really this room, this bath. I've been getting insights, but not outsights. And today I did another beautiful session with Lakshmi, this guy, Adam. His elixirs are just amazing. This is his Lakshmi goddess. I've got 7 of them. Essences, very, very beautiful. And I did 5 drops, and I just felt this beautiful goddess presence, just healing Lakshmi. Oh, just so gorgeous. I languished in that for a while, and then I needed to come out of it because dinner's ready. I'm going to go and eat now. And as I got out of the bath, I said, thank you for that. I mean, I know I always expect to get some kind of insight and outsight in the bath, and tonight, it was just a healing. And she says, oh, here you go. Here's something for you. And she gave me Psyche and Soul and Spirit. Psyche being the yin and Soul Spirit being the yang. And just gave me a whole download into what that means, being in your body and out of your body. And it's just gorgeous. I'll be writing more about that later. But thank you for this, Lakshmi. Had a really lovely download in the bath earlier, just back from the most beautiful weekend in the country for my niece's wedding. It was just so much love. And came back to just a beautiful feeling of relaxation and connection with family and connection with self, and having really had to examine like lots of my stuff, because you see family members that you haven't seen for a long time, and you think about your relationships and the preconceptions you had about them, and you know, everything has to be updated. And a little bit of an update to myself, thinking about all the places that I could improve and be better. I was part of it. It was very powerful. Kind of a grubby scouring away of old layers of stuff where I'm not kind to myself or not kind to others, even if just in my thoughts. Anyway, other than that, a very, very beautiful download about how that first sundering of the oneness, when the oneness decided to experience itself as another and needed to be mirrored, that sundering created a wound, and in the one half it was just trauma, and the other half it was just power, and the light is the power. The light went, oh, I can see myself, I'm reflected, and it started to expand outwards, and the dark chases it somehow. That's part of the whole 0 point energy thing. That's why wherever we walk, a shadow follows us. Where there is light, there is a shadow. And it sticks to us, and they cling. And it clings because it is always trying to actually come back into oneness, but it never can. And so in this universe, in this reality, in this whatever it is, carbon reality, that perpetual motion of the light moving into the dark, and the light and the dark moving into the light, backwards and forwards, and then infinity symbol. Somehow that's got to do with 0 point energy. Anyway, lots of stuff. Okay, so having this beautiful download, I'm holding my favorite blaze crystal, and I did a prayer shape down kind of between my solar plexus and my sacral chakra, and then I pulled it up again and I did it between my throat and brow chakra, and I thought about how that crystal was channeling energy, and I realized that yang, the light, travels into the body, into dark matter in reverse towards the center point at heart, and then over and above that it goes light matter yang then flows upwards and exits the body forwards. So there's something about how at the axis point of heart, which is love, oneness, everything, on either side of that you have light polarity being woven into matter, dark matter yin, so light matter yang energy coming into material carbon matter material reality and knitting in, but it comes in backwards. The light gets sucked in backwards from the bottom, and then at heart it flips and it begins to shoot out as yang again through the dark matter that's collapsing inwards in a way. Not really collapsing inwards, but holding that boundary. On either side, the yin holds this boundary in the middle that light comes through, and light pierces it backwards. That's what causes us to have time in this dimension, because what we have is we have the yang energy escaping from heart upwards, pulling outwards, going towards the future, and the past is a yin energy pulling inwards towards that core at heart. And that's what creates the tension between the past and the future. That's what creates the now and the present. So that's why without this construct, everything is in the now, everything is at once, because everything there is light, there isn't the dark matter on that side. That oneness has been fused into the one. And that's why there is no contrast there, because there can't be. The contrast is something, and 0 point energy exists in that reverse light energy coming into dark matter, coming through that dark matter, the yin, and being knitted into something, and it comes up towards the heart, and when it meets love again, it no longer needs to be sucked through. It flips and it shoots out the top, because it's kind of the yang restores itself at that point in the present, and that is flipped by love. Don't know what this means. So the future is light pulled forwards under its own impetus, light pulled forwards through dark matter. The past is light sucked towards you. So it's actually light reversing away from you. That's what the past is, through dark matter. We sit at that spot between the two, the perfect yin yang between the two. I keep coming in contact with this amazing mermaid goddess that is one of my goddess aspects. It's blazed on in a mermaid body, kind of. She's got a blue fin mohawk. Her skin is blue. She's short and curvy. She has webbed fingers, webbed toes, as well as a way of locking her legs together so she can swim, and then separating them, and the scales kind of curl into the legs so she can use them as legs or as fins. And she lives in this water and land world where most creatures are semi-aquatic. Anyway, so this goddess came back to me, and she introduced me differently this time, as not a goddess but a guide, one of the me's in different lifetimes that had achieved lots of enlightenment, and so is able to come into this world, which that's why I have these experiences in water, because I've lived on many water worlds before. Anyway, seriously amazing. I don't have a name for her, but I know she's one of my guides now. A goddess mermaid me. Amazing, blue. So I was doing this beautiful prayer with a quartz crystal between my two hands, and I went up and then I pulled the crystal away in the one hand, and both hands joined again at the bottom, also in prayer but pointing down, with the crystal pointing down. A clear quartz crystal that for me represents yang or light. Anyway, and then I drew my hands up backwards with this crystal pointing down until I got to heart, and then it flipped and went upwards, and then put the crystal in the other hand and drew it back down. And so I was using this to illustrate to myself the concept of yang light coming backwards through the yin into the body, and it goes from root to sacrum to solar plexus. And in these three chakras, we are in the past. Those three chakras are the past, and they're the carbon reality, and they're the yin. The heart is a bridge point between your carbon body and yin, and it is the point at which both of those meet. It's the center point. The heart is where we flip it from all of that past stuff, and the heart is the present, and that's where we choose to love. And you love in the present, and it bridges you into the other three chakras, which is the throat, the brow, and the crown, and that is the future. And it's the masculine, and it's right, and it's light. Very profound, coming from this idea that our body is the past. Our body actually is the past. Our present is in heart, in love, and our future is in these three chakras, which are about communication and identity and philosophy, etc. Just very beautiful. So then I had this beautiful deep insight into how we perceive yin and darkness as bad, evil, shadow. And we perceive yang, lightness, as good, pure, and wholesome, and, towards the light. But how that yang can be perverted and be bad. And I thought about in regards to sterility. So we have come from this, we're living in a sterility cult where we have ignored the fact that we're not celebrating sex and sexuality, which we should be. Sex and sexuality is a yin thing, but this puritanical sterility of kind of religions that have forced us to deny our sexuality and demonize love in many ways, and sexuality and sex. That's where yang has been perverted and become a force for toxic stuff. And in other places, it's where people moralize, and they moralize for the right and for the good, and they say, yes, I'm all about goodness and being perceived as a good person. And I think about COVID and the people that were forcing terrible things on the population, but they believed that they were doing it from a righteous place, and so they moralized it to themselves. And that's where that yang light becomes bad, because it's something that was presented as good and right, and it wasn't. It was perverted and corrupted and wrong. And I have a situation in my life where somebody has moralized, they've done something bad, and they've moralized about it and said that they were doing something for a higher good. And then on top of that, they lied about doing the thing in the first place. And I've been kind of really grappling with why it bothers me so much. And it's because that person has moralized to themselves that they're righteous and they did a good and a righteous thing. And they don't care the huge fallout that it had for the people affected. Just beautiful depths of thought into how we will perceive something. Tao tells you this, that everything is good and bad. So you break your leg, well, it's good and it's bad. And you win a horse at the fair, it's good and it's bad. And then there's a draft for the army and you can't get called up because you've broken your leg, and that's good. And then you ride on the horse and you fall off and you hurt yourself, and that's bad. It's an interesting thing that we only justify things as good or bad because of the present moment that we're in and how we see that thing now. And so lastly, it was this realization that this is a screen memory that we're having. There's no point in having the experience unless the experience is completely immersive. And that's what this experience is. You forget who you are to come in and have this experience. Some people remember fractions and shards, and some people are able to download and discover aspects of themselves beyond this carbon shell. Fear exists in the past, and we allow it into our heart in the present. But it is the past, fear is the past, and hope and trust is the future, and love. And the three lower bodies, that carbon reality body, the three lower chakras, lower. The heart is the bridge, and so the three lower chakras are really, in many ways, this past is a remembrance of what was. The carbon body is an imprint. Your body is the past. It's an imprint of who you believe you are in the present. And the future is your identity. That's your voice, your sight, inner sight and outer sight, and your divine self, who you are. That's your identity, and that's the future. So your body is the past, the heart is the bridge in the present, and your future is your identity, and the screen memory that weaves is the past. Now, something very beautiful is there's an African philosopher, and a lot of African philosophers talk about this, that African people, their past is their future. They're constantly looking backwards into their past, and the present just feeds into that vision that they're weaving all the time, and their past and their future are in front of them at the same time. And I just thought, wow, what a beautiful way to see things. And so be in the present and look continuously at the past and the future and allow them to weave together. We're now finding out in physics that your past actually, your future, your present can affect your past. Your future can affect your past. This is the physics that people are just catching on to at the moment. It's also exciting. I just, again, want to thank Amanda and Adam for these amazing goddess essences tonight. I'm on class called to Garuda. First, I downloaded a whole web very quickly, clearing your chakras, using a black and a white crystal. And so these are the crystals I routinely use. Oh, where are you, my baby there? Okay. That's a clear quartz crystal and this very dense little black crystal. This represents yin for me and this represents yang. And I downloaded a whole mode called polarity healing, and you empower a quartz crystal, clear quartz crystal, and a small black crystal, and then you use them on different parts of the body, but you always swap them over. So let's say I was using them on my chin. I'd do this, ting the bell, do this until the bell stops ringing, and then ting the bell again, and then do this until the bell stops ringing, and then put it all the other places that I'm called to on the body. But always swapping them around so you correct the polarity in each area of the body. And then I'm having this completely amazing deep immersion into yin and yang, and how all there is love, the yang, the love, and non-love, which is the yin. And so we always equate non-love with hate and
and like evil, but it's not. It's just non-love. It's an absence of love. And it's created by trauma and abandonment and fear and othering. So othering is when you believe that a group of people is unlike your group of people, and you say, well, they're smelly or they're entitled or whatever it is, whatever like racist idea you have about another person or whatever bigotry that is. You speak that because you're removing that self from that person, and you're saying, I am not one of them, and that anything that removes you from oneness is a trauma. And so othering is a trauma, and insecurity, self-doubt, and even self-loathing. These are all what exists in that yin, the dark trauma, that half crescent of the yin-yang, crescent, the half paisley. And so in that non-love, this is how love happens. And so I also got this beautiful thing of how from totally kind of dark and bleak and terribly kind of what we might even call evil on the one side of the spectrum, all the way to the other side of the spectrum where everything is the most complete, perfect goodness and light. Everything's a spectrum between that, and that's why we're on earth. That's why we are incarnating, so that we can find out what every single spectrum of that emotion feels like, of that experience feels like. So we're experiencing all kinds of different ways of being human, or being fish, or being plant life, or whatever it is we get reincarnated as. But we're creating everything on that spectrum so that we fill the universe, the multiverse, with every single possible piece of data there is. That's what we're here for. That's that spectrum we're on, from yin to yang, from dark to light.
Right, so it's the most important dialectic is as above, so below. That is the fundamental, actually, it's the key to everything. That's the yin and the yang, and the dark and the light. And so that is the one most important part of the philosophy. That's what Taoism is. It is just that one separation of opposites.
That's also why Buddha teaches detachment, because it's this kind of lushfa. You're supposed to have this spectrum of experiences, and every experience you have is a new experience, and it creates growth, and growth is the opposite of entropy, and the oneness is striving towards perpetual growth and away from entropy. And that cycle and all of that's what is keeping everything going. And there's going to be, like, there's the inhale and the exhale, there's the big inhale and the big exhale. Anyway, so where I'm going with this is, so this is why Buddha preaches detachment, because he wants you to create less karma. Create less karma, create less karma, get rid of old karma, get rid of old karma, so that you can escape this matrix and level up to the next level. And so that's what our chakras are. The chakras are the energy vortices that are creating the technology that allows us to manifest as avatars, as living bodies, as carbon bodies in this holodeck. And the chakras are key to that, and it's the different kind of portals into which we're plugged all the way up on the color spectrum, on the rainbow spectrum, on the whatever it is, physical reality and physical visibility and ultraviolets, and then going into the infinite beyond all of it is, these are all metaphors for this rising from the bottom to the top. But it's also a past, present and future meta-narrative. And there is no past and no present. The past is just a screen memory, and that's why light gets sucked backwards up until the heart chakra, and everything in root and sacrum and solar plexus is about your physical reality and your physical body, and that is light viewed backwards. So your physical body is actually your past. Your heart chakra is creating your present time out of love, and your throat, brow and crown chakras are the future. That's a projection into the future. That's the technology and hardware. The system is predisposed towards creating enormous perpetual growth and perpetual reproduction, perpetual proliferation models, because the universe is all about growth outwards. That's a divine masculine. That's a masculine. That's that
yang, that outward growth. The yin, however, is folded in upon herself perpetually and perpetually, and she gets infinitely smaller and more quantum and smaller and more quantum and smaller and more quantum and more micro and more personal and more tiny and infinitesimal and ununderstandable and just completely outside of comprehension. So the yin is actually quantum. That's actually what's amazing about it.